like if people ask me for a photo, I'm
Welcome to Books and Bush Tea, where the tea is hot and the books are good. Today we're going to spend some time with Brigita Nemet talking about astrology and about dreams and how you can grow in your reading in these areas. And we're welcoming Miss Brigita Nemet to join us today. Do I say that last name right? Because I never say your last name. How do you say
perfect.
it?
Nemet.
It's perfect. Nemet.
Yes.
So Brigita and I have been friends for many, many years, and we have always exchanged books. And I'm super excited to talk about what you're going to talk about today. But first, let's get into your reading life. Tell us about what you started with. What's your favorite genre as a child? What's your earliest reading memory?
I just want to say that I think that how you and me met is that I saw you by yourself watching the sunset and reading a book. So I came over.
I mean, it sounds like me.
And I was like being nosy, and as I was passing around, I kept like trying to see what you're reading, and that's how
you're right, and it would have been at the creperie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how we actually had the first real contact.
Yeah, I'm that weirdo that takes a book to the bar. I'll take a book to a bar and ask for a cup of tea. Tell me that isn't weird. The hotels always think that I'm nuts. But yeah, that makes sense. So we actually met over books.
Yep.
I didn't realize that. But it sounds like us.
That's how I remember it.
I mean, it sounds like us, don't get me wrong. But yeah, that's brilliant. You see, I'd seen you before. So in my mind, she's a celebrity in the food and beverage world. So I knew who Brigita was. And so I in my head, I met her before. So
but there was no real contact.
That's
the real
true.
contact
It's true.
happened through,
it was over
through a book.
And at that time in life, it was probably some garbage knowing me. But
I don't
everyone
think
needs
so.
garbage reading.
No, I don't think so. I think it was interesting.
Was I finding myself?
Yeah.
Probably seeking myself. But yeah, what did you start reading? What was the first memory that you can remember of reading?
Well, I start reading, I think it was children's tales, right?
Yeah.
Hans Christian Andersen tales and stuff like that. And then somebody brought me, some grown-up brought me an old moldy box from somebody's attic, and there were loads of old toys and hardcover books of Tarzan.
Oh, I love that. That's one of my favorite books.
At that point, I've never seen a Tarzan film or a comic or cartoons, anything. So that was for the first time I was introduced to this story, and for me that was amazing. And that was a story of a couple that ended up shipwrecked on the coast of Africa, and they tried to survive their circumstances, their homes, and this baby
and he was
ended
born
up
there.
Yeah, he was born there, and I mean, it was a story of survival in the jungle, and I was totally disassociating from the world through this book.
Why?
And
what was going on in your world at the time?
I think that lots of people and kids, they have like a bit of toxic surrounding, and then you immerse yourself in this world. And I think I developed a healthy addiction because it was an addiction to books.
Because and I say that I'm pressing just because I know that you grew up in a war-torn area of the world, so there would have been a lot of stuff going on in your world at the time. So it makes perfect sense. But Tarzan, I didn't know. Listen, Tarzan was one of my favorites, and it was a big book. It was about that thick, right? And what language are you reading in? Because this is another thing about you.
I read it in my language, in Serbian.
Yeah.
And the first was the one that was amazing.
That was the best one. I wasn't so keen on the second and third. I think there's a third, but I really loved it.
Up to four, they were good. The first one was amazing. The second, but after the fourth one, they were not. It was not so good.
Yeah. It's almost like they found a good thing and then they just decided to milk it until people stopped buying it. But I loved that first book. It was one of the best, and it was a classic, right? It was considered to be a classic at the time. So, okay, cool. So you got into it through the old books, right? Yeah. And then what happened?
There were always, for some reason, stories about surviving, overcoming, Robinson Crusoe. Count Monte Cristo, these kind of stories,
That is my favorite story of all time. That if I could choose one book, it's that one. And I've read it in 2 languages. So Count Monte Cristo.
That sort of, that was my childhood, all about
overcoming.
this kind of the hero's journey and overcoming and perceiving on the end.
So funny because every time we talk, I realize why we're friends more and more. Like there's a reason, and we talk frequently enough for that to be a lot of things, right? So childhood reading was something that was like an escape. It sounds like.
Yeah, it was this disassociation in a way, and but it was beautiful because this world created just a world in which you can always, come out as a winner on the end.
And it's so funny because I use the word disassociation as a negative thing, but I think this is one of those things where if this is the addiction your child has, you want them to have it. Like you're gonna.
But there are so many addictions.
Make sure that the flashlights have batteries.
Work can be addiction. Yoga can be addiction. True. Everything can be addiction. Reading can be an addiction. Yeah. So there are good addictions. There are some that are good for you and some are not good for you. So
I guess you get to choose, right?
Yeah.
But you're also a writer.
I wouldn't say so, but I think.
But you write.
I'm expressing
like you
myself.
Write. Yeah, you express it. So you journal. You write. Yeah. When was the earliest that you think you did that you can remember? Writing.
I was creating stories about like some heroes that were like from my world, so they were often female, and they were like sort of like I don't know, like after I read Tarzan, there was a story about a girl that ends up surviving in a jungle, and I think like because of Tarzan, I'm ending up being in these surroundings that are so tropical and lush and palm trees and
look at you creating your world, right? Yeah. But because I remember, I recently found one of my earliest journals because I've been writing since I was a little kid, but I didn't realize how early it was. The first journal I remember that I found, because I have boxes of them, was a little locked journal. It had like ponies or something on it, and I was 8 years old. I was 8 and I was in Cayman Brac on vacation, and I think my first several journals, I probably did like 2 entries and I quit because that's what you do as a kid. Like you start something like meh, and you forget about it. And then as a teenager, it started to become like a thing that I could be seen as a crutch, but like you say, it's similar to addiction. There's certain things that are really good for you, and then there's certain things that aren't. So reading was something that you used to escape. You didn't start with small stuff. You started with Tarzan. I mean but you sunk your teeth into it, right?
And which is interesting, I kept rereading the same book. So I would read it cover to cover and then start from the beginning. And in between, read other books as well. So
I do that. Yeah, and it's funny that our reading lives do that, right? So, and sometimes those are the ones you relax to, the ones where something, what's going to happen. Yeah, and so you moved into like I hear that you started with the literature. Is there any other type of book that you would have started to read growing up?
This kind of literature was going on for me through childhood, so it was always like the hero journeys and different heroes, and then like I think when I was about 15, 16, then I found like Siddhartha, and it's gonna sound like a cliche, but The Alchemist, and books like that.
I hear you.
And these were now like different spiritual paths. It's not just about surviving like physical circumstances. It's about like spiritual journeys. So it's another hero's path in a way. So
it's so funny because I feel like those of us who get into spiritual paths, right, or alternative spiritual paths of any kind, or start to explore beyond the beliefs that we grew up with, we start with something imaginative, right? So for me, it would have been like fairy tales. For you, like Hans Christian would have been like yours. But I hear that there's like a lean towards the survival stuff, right? Okay, cool. But then, of course, the spiritual path took you into places, right? So where'd you go?
Well, I was imagining my future. I always wanted to get out of my country and get out of my family, get out of my circle, and have friends of different cultures and live in different cultures and see other continents and travel by boats and plane and just get out of my little circle. And I was thinking this is how I expand my mind, and this is how I learn about the world. And then I later on realized that maybe like I lost the element of know thyself. To know myself, a different reading material was required, and this is where I get a little bit into like all sorts of esoteric books in a way, like in the astrology or dreams, tarot, numerology, all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Because for me, these are tools to learn about myself. Because before before exploring the world, I don't know what should you know yourself before you explore the world and the others, or the other way
She always
around?
has these hard questions, man. She always and looks to me for these answers like, should I do this?
You are my life coach.
I know. You're so funny. Oh man, but you know what? I would think I was studying at the time. I was in training for life coaching when I met you. So it was probably one of the books that was required reading that I was reading. I'm just gonna sit here and obsess about whatever that book was. I bet you if I go back in my journals, I will find the day that I met you. You know,
Probably. I think you were because you actually offered.
Oh yeah, for you to come
offered?
visit.
You offered
Yeah.
to I don't know, I had a question anyway, so I think
Yeah. But there was a book that you and I came across as well, and I think we both disliked it, and it was an unpopular opinion.
like 50 Shades of Grey or something.
No,
like
it wasn't that one. Even though that was one, right? I can't bother with that one. There was one. I shouldn't say that because it's not the romance genre. It's that book. That book wasn't for me. But there was one, A Course in Miracles.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Did you read that?
I didn't get into it.
Yeah.
I read it. I started reading it, but I just didn't do it.
I couldn't do it, Brigita. I could, and you know what I think it was? I think what it was for me is that it was pretending to not be Christian, using Christian language, and the methodology of it was like every day you read this, every day you read that, and it felt like a programming process. So I resisted. And it's probably golden, and I know that it's changed people's lives, but I just resisted the hell out of that book. I couldn't do it. A Course in Miracles. But you know what? There are people out there who think that this is like, you know the one book that changes your life? That is their one book. What is yours? I'm gonna have a hard time thinking about this for myself. So as you ponder, like what book changed your life? Because I have a path of books.
Well, actually, I'm not sure if it was Siddhartha or The Alchemist.
Okay, yeah.
Because that actually made me leave and then be very stubborn about leaving and feeling empowered in a way and searching for that personal legend, which is in the Alchemist, which I'm still not sure if I found it, but I'm still searching. Yeah.
The Alchemist is a hell of a one.
It's changed it, but now I think I'm ready to change it. I don't know if back or somewhere else, but I'm searching for the next book that is gonna
to change your life. Yeah, I have to think about it for myself because I started reading Christian literature first, and there's a really good one called Wild at Heart, and it's for the guys, and Captivating was the one for women, but it was very, very gendered, and so I feel like I lost touch with that pretty quickly, then moved on. I can't remember what really broke me, because I was broken according to I broke out of a way of thinking. But there's a lot of them. The Power of Now. You've read that one as well. The Power of Now was a big one, and then The Power of Now led me to Conversations with God.
I did not read that.
You didn't read that one
from you.
You got it from me, but you never went through it. I feel like that book calls to people that it's supposed to call to. It's not for everyone. But I was speaking with someone recently who'd read it in Spanish. But it's an interesting one because it has three volumes as well. No, 2. No, 3. It is 3 books, The Conversations with God. But what got you into astrology, history-wise?
Well, that search for knowing yourself, because astrology is astrology is global. It's everywhere. Like there are lots of people who do not believe in astrology, but every culture believed in some way in those 7 wandering stars. Because in the old times, people sat by fires and they watched the stars and they noticed that the sky is always the same, but there are 7 points of the sky that are changing. And basically those points in the sky are they describe your character in a way and your path. And I got into researching my charts and understanding through the positions of the stars myself better, and also analyzing the aspects, because astrology can be used also like a weather forecast. The same way you you just prepare, like the Mercury is bad, you don't do a podcast. If if Venus is bad,
I didn't check.
I
hope you checked.
If Venus is bad, you don't
go on a date.
So it is like a weather forecast.
If Mars is bad.
Yeah. You don't travel.
Yeah, Mars is bad.
So it's almost like, and then there are also astrological correspondences in nature, which is how we can use everything. Like the days have astrological correspondences, right? So Monday is Moon Day, Tuesday is Mars Day, Wednesday is Mercury Day, Thursday is Jupiter Day. So this is perfect. Friday is Venus Day. So you can always incorporate astrology into your everyday life.
Yeah.
There are astrological correspondences in foods. So certain things are very Moon, some things are very Venus, some things that are spicy and thorny are very Mars. Like there is astrology everywhere, and that gives it another dimension.
It almost sounds like the way that they, the Bhagavad Gita talks about the Sattva, Tamas, and Rajas, right? The three, because you also looked at some of the stuff, right? Too, right?
That's in
Ayurveda.
Yeah,
Ayurveda. You
so.
looked at as well. So Brigita and I have been like seekers for the entire time that we've known each other, and I think we've read so many cultures, and maybe we need someone to talk about it. So I would come to her restaurant and sit down and just like want all of her guests to leave so that we could talk. But that's actually how I met a lot of friends, a lot of people that were on a similar path, because you created, like what we've created in this podcast is something that you created in a restaurant, like a place where we talked about things, and like it was a meeting place for people who were trying to keep culture alive or seeking something spiritual and so on. So it's very much missed, but here we are, and here we are creating something different, right? So I love the talk of the way that you have broadened the view of astrology, because it's almost as though the star touches everyone.
It does.
And everything. The stars fall, the light of the star falls on everything. And it actually reminds me of a book. I'm trying to remember the name of it. My brother will remind me, and I'll put it in like the notes or something. But there's a book by, her name was Synovia. Oh my gosh. I shared it with you. And
it's the book about astrology, or
no,
just,
it was oh gosh. I'll if I remember it, I'll bring it up, and you and I can talk about it. But the way that she described it, she was one of the followers of the lady, the witch lady that used to do like bend spoons and stuff with her mind. What was her name again in the 1930s? She was friends with
Blavatsky.
Helena Blavatsky. She actually was a follower of Blavatsky. She wrote this book. And in the book, at the very beginning, she describes astrology as a fight between dark and light. Right, so the light is always fighting. Well, the darkness is always fighting against the light. The light is the natural state. The darkness is constantly fighting against the light, and so there are these pinpoints of light all throughout the universe, and where the light falls on you at the time of your birth determines your path.
Yeah,
and so I had never heard of it quite like that before. Does that line up with your belief?
I mean, there is traditional astrology and modern astrology. So it depends, like, and in astrology there are so many types of astrology, and like in like Chinese astrology, Vedic astrology, and even in modern astrology there are different ways, and astrology is very mathematical as well. So I think that astrology should be like, human consciousness is evolving tremendously. So I used to be a believer in traditional astrology. Now I'm a believer in modern astrology more and more. And there is also a thing which is called astrological psychology, which is seems very interesting. I didn't get into it yet, but this is one of the things that I would like to read about and to research. But I do believe in challenges, and if you are aware of the challenges, you should prepare. And if you know that the energy is good for you, and that you should take advantage of it and do stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm very simple in that way. Like, maybe it's not philosophical enough. I don't know.
No, that sounds pretty philosophical to me, because I mean, philosophy is like a thought about how the world works, right? So at least that's the way I describe it. But it's also very practical, and I think that's something that you also lean toward. You like to look for the practical pieces, right?
Definitely. I wanna do. Let's make an astrological cookbook.
Oh. Oh. I like it. I mean, it's the perfect combination.
Yeah. Because you can incorporate astrology into cooking, like, so if you eat moon related items on a Monday, you spicy.
Let's see what the
Taco
alignment
Tuesday,
is. Taco Tuesday is
perfect for Tuesday. No, seriously.
So that is pretty interesting. I'd never really thought of that.
Yep.
You see, the connection
That's an
between
idea.
astrology and food has never.
I've seen it. I've seen food everywhere. I'm like,
you're seeing it everywhere.
I'm moon in Taurus. See food.
Oh, you would? Yeah. There you go. There you go. Where is my moon? My moon is in. By the way, you're gonna have to explain all what that even means. So we're gonna do like a beginner's description of astrology. I had to do this recently, and it was so much fun because I realized that I actually have like a language around imagery. Like I have a visual image of how astrology works. To me, it's like a clock, and we're at the center of it, and it's going like this, and that's how it's going. So when you do a reading, you get. And maybe that's what we should talk about, birth charts. Let's talk about how birth charts are done, because that's really the crux of it, right? So how do you do a birth chart? I mean, now it's all generated by technology, but you actually know how to do a birth chart.
Yeah, I have a program, so I can pull out anybody's birth charts. And it's very simple, but you are defined by the 7 planets basically. So there are the 7 houses and 12 houses and the 7 planets, and where are the 7 planets positioned. I'm mostly relying on the 7 planets because the traditional astrology is only relying on the 7 planets, which is the sun, the moon, the sun, the moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn. Right? The other planets were discovered later with the telescope, and that these planets were added later.
Was that Uranus, Pluto?
Yes, and they were described. Those planets in astrology are given attributes of the times when they were discovered. So
I did not know this. This is good stuff.
So that's modern astrology. Traditional astrology is based only on the planets that are visible with an eye in the sky. So where your Venus are and in which house your Venus is, that determines.
All right. So let's take a pause right there. So what is a house? How do we determine what our houses are? Because I think that's the visual, right?
Yeah.
So using my visual, this is our planet. This is Earth. Where are the houses?
So the houses are divided into 12 houses, basically.
It's like 12 points on a clock, right? And it goes all the way around.
All the way around,
right? So it's 12. And they're phases, right?
Different degrees. Different styles. So each school of astrology also can have a different style.
Oh, don't break my brain now. Let's just
but that's what I'm saying. Let's just do it simple. Because
let's do a simple introduction to astrology. Because it's almost like an avocado, right? If an avocado was round, you have our planet. Yeah. Then we have all of the houses that the way that it's described. But then there's also like the horizon, right? Yeah. So the horizon are the lines across the first house and the 12th house. Yeah. And the 6th house and the 5th? 6th and 7th, I think. So it's across the horizon. So there's 6 up top and 6 on bottom, right?
It's gonna be boring if we're gonna go there.
No, but what do you mean? It's the introduction.
It's a big introduction. I would say like for somebody who wants to know something basic, it's very important to know in which house your
each one of your planets is. Yes, exactly. So like, each one has a different meaning, right?
Yes. So for example, if your Venus is in the 1st house or in the 3rd house or the 7th or the 8th, it makes a big difference. Or if your moon is, because each planet is in charge of a certain area of your life and a certain area of your personality. So for example, Mercury in the 6th house or Mercury in the 10th house is very different. Mercury is in charge of your minds, of your the way how you communicate. So if it's in a 6th house, you don't do much with it, like I. That's my case. But if your Mercury is in your 9th house, you might up using it for education, for example. If your Mercury is in the 10th, it can be very good for politics, or 11th, for example.
Wow. Okay,
if it's in the 2nd house,
so what you're pretty much saying is that each planet guides a part of your life.
Yeah.
So let's start there. Mercury is the what? Communication,
Travel.
travel.
How the mind works. Yeah. Jupiter is the spiritual one. It's also for far travel, for going far. Mars is for passions. It's for sports. It's for
Earth. It's like it's tactile.
It's,
And each one of them
it's
has
for
an element. Sexuality, fighting.
Yeah.
So that's
Moon is for emotion.
Internal life.
Yeah.
Internal life. I feel like that's how you see yourself, and it's your
Yeah.
internal life. What's the
Sun?
sun?
Sun is your vital force. How you are, like your vital force.
Their vital force out in the world.
Yeah.
Though. It's expressive. So it's almost like the moon and the sun are two sides of the same coin.
And then Saturn are your challenges. Your challenges. It's not. It's
See,
again.
I always forget Saturn and Jupiter. I never remember what they're about. Venus.
Venus is basic love, connected. How you connect your,
Pluto.
love and abundance.
My favorite.
Pluto
I am
new.
a Scorpio, so what?
Pluto is a new kid on the block. Like actually, traditional astrologers they say that that's not even a planet. That's not even a planet, and
for me it is. I'm a Scorpio, so I am guided by Mars and Pluto. What does that mean, Brigita?
You are you, and
she's trying not to insult me. That's what that was. She's like, "You are you, darling. You are you." Like
you need to have your chart. You need to have your chart.
You want my chart?
Yeah.
I have a chart. I have a chart on my phone. I can show you. And it's crazy because they're all like in the bottom. They're at the break I'm gonna get my planets are all in the first three
Yeah, I
houses.
remember that because I have your chart.
I have like my planets are in house 1, 2, and 3.
There was something about it.
There's something weird
because
to the top
There was
as well.
something weird because you have lots of challenging aspects, but there is something very good. I need to see your chart.
I have 4 planets in Scorpio.
Yeah.
I have 3 in Libra. No, I think it's Scorpio and Libra, and I have some in Virgo. And my rising is Virgo, which is very, very frustrating. Apparently, I remember seeing an astrologer who was actually my Reiki mentor. She said to me, "Oh, this must be super." She herself is a Scorpio. She has 4 planets in Scorpio as well, 5 planets in Scorpio. But I have my planets in Scorpio, but my rising sign is Virgo. And she's like, that must be really frustrating because Scorpio is so overly expressive and Virgo's boring.
But you know what?
And contained. That's what she said. That's what she said. It doesn't mean it's true, but that was her thing. It was like, it's just so contained, so demure, so well behaved, and very much traditional in presentation, which is like the antithesis of what a Scorpio would be.
The problem with rising sign is that
and the rising sign, by the way, is a sign that is at the horizon, that is coming up over the horizon at the time of your birth.
What time were you born?
I was born at 2:09 a.m.
Well, okay, your time.
No, not everyone needs to know this. Because that is a little too much.
I want to say that I think that the problem with the rising sign is that it's tied very much to, the degrees are changing usually every 3 to 5 minutes, and the times of the birth are recorded usually on a full hour, half an hour, 15 minutes.
Not
Yours is very like usually when I'm taking times for people, they were saying like 8 o'clock, and I was like, really, exactly 8 o'clock, not 8:03, 8:05, or 7:58.
But what
exactly
planet does that
8 o'clock.
impact? Because not all the planets move that fast. So what planet would that impact?
No,
mostly the
like,
rising,
it could
right?
be, like, for example, my rising sign, I believed and I was told that I was born at 6:45 p.m. So my rising sign was supposed to be 0.1 of Capricorn. And then I found my birth certificate and I find out that my rising sign is 6:40 actually. And that means that I'm Sagittarius, the last degree of Sagittarius. So I could have been, I'm either a newly born Capricorn or I'm a dying Sagittarius. So it completely changes.
But that's not your sun sign.
That's the rising sign.
Okay, got it.
So if the rising sign is Capricorn, that means that I am a Saturn, because Saturn guides the Capricorn. If I am a dying Sagittarius, then I am a Jupiter, like as a person. Because also your rising sign defines your physicality and who are you as a person.
So let's talk about what the houses stand for. Okay.
Everybody's chart is divided into 12 houses, and each house is in charge of one area of personality or of a life. So the first house is in charge of who you are. This is a house that says I am.
The self.
The self. The second house is the I have. What you wanna have, what you don't wanna have, what you wanna refuse.
All my stuff is in the second house. Oh boy.
The third house is where you going basically, and also describes like the early education and your closest circle. The fourth houses are your roots and your home, your family. The fifth house is what you love, what your passions are, your lovers, like it's the house of pleasures. The sixth house is work, basic work, like something like everyday work, not like a career, but something that you do for money.
Okay.
And it also can be the house of like basic health and routines. The seventh house is partnership. So partnerships in business, partnerships in life, house of marriage as well. The seventh, that's the first one. So basically the first sixth house is about the self, and the 7th to the 12th is like they are the connections. So only the 7 it's like the partnerships. The 8th house is death for some reason, and it can also describe the occult. The 9th is spirituality, any sort of spirituality and higher education.
I got something in the 9th house.
Yeah.
Go on then, I'm listening.
I believe it's the Chiron.
Oh, the suffering. I'm suffering in spirituality.
No, it's the teacher. He's your teacher.
I know. I always read Chiron as suffering.
Then the 10th is your highest point. The 4th is those are your roots and your lowest point. The 10 is your highest point, and that describes your education. The 11th, for me, how I see it, is your place in society, and how your place in society and your circle. And the 12th is where you retreat.
I have no place in society.
This is the Fortuna. This point is called Fortuna. Is it the Fortuna, or I don't have my glasses?
It's one of the nodes, right? It's okay. It's fine. We're not gonna get into my chart so much. But essentially, what you're saying is that depending on what house the planet is in, the planet will interact with the quality of the planet will interact with the quality of the house to determine your experience in life.
The way, like the planet is like a plant, and the house is like the soil. So sometimes this planet is growing in a dry soil or in a fertile soil, and like that's what's actually the depending where the planet is living determines the health of that part of your life.
Okay, I like that.
But that's just like, so if it's not in the right place, then you need to water it.
Water it.
You
right?
can always,
okay, got it.
Yeah,
you can nurture.
so
that's what I love. Like, so there's agency. That's what I love about like tarot. That's what I love about readings and astrology, is that there's always agency. This is not a determination of how life will go for you. This is just to give you your baseline of what you can expect and what you can expect to have to overcome. Therefore, you arm yourself and you create agency, right?
Yeah, it's the same way like medicine in old times was considered heresy. You were supposed to overcome stuff that was given to you, right? These are also circumstances that you can overcome.
I never thought of it that way. Oh, Brigita, you're such a poet. I love this for you. But I'd love for you to also kind of tell me like why I shouldn't share my birth chart with anyone, just out into the public, because I feel like there's something to that, and I have an answer in my head, but I want to hear what you had to say.
I think that you never know, it's like what you want to do in your life and like where you want to go, and it's better just to keep it for yourself, the same way how,
I thought what you were going to say was that people can use it to do obi on you.
I didn't want to say it.
Oh, you didn't want to say it? Oh, that's
I
totally possible. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, we're just talking about the concepts here,
Yeah.
Let's talk about the books, because I know that you have gone through this journey and you've studied quite intentionally, quite a lot of reading. And I'm going to pull one of these from behind here because I know that you actually, this was one of the ones that you worked with right over here as well.
I've studied as a hobby. So which books are you taking?
This one, remember?
Oh, yes.
This was one of
Well,
your favorites.
This book on astrology, it's great because I was first skeptical, but then when I open it, it gives you so much, and it's all done in like bullet points. So it's really easy to read. And I mean, I think that I can carry myself a little bit, and I go into astrology and it's not interesting to people.
Yeah.
I think this can actually like
Capture.
capture it in and keep it really interesting, and it's a really useful book.
And I'll show you a little bit, right? Because it's gorgeous as well. It's one of those DK books, Astrology, Using the Wisdom of the Stars in Your Everyday Life. And it's by Carol Taylor. But I actually bought this, and Brigita and I share a library when it comes to these things. But look at how pretty this stuff is. And it's so easy to learn. And I'm actually wondering, I wish that some of these were like in posters that you could put on the wall so that you could remember whenever you're thinking about these things. But this is one of the ones that we've talked about.
Yeah. So this is it's a very good book to start on astrology.
Yeah.
But to start, but to go deep straight away.
Yeah.
For a deep dive,
it's thorough. It's quite thorough. I think it's almost like a textbook.
So for me to study astrology, I used a book from Chris Brennan. This is an astrologer from Denver that started studying seriously astrology. Yes,
Denver.
So
boy.
he
There's
started.
so much esoteric work and stuff in Denver. I love Denver for this stuff.
He runs an astrology podcast from a place called Mercury Cafe. And he brings together different astrologers, and then they discuss different topics on astrology. He also translates ancient astrological texts, and he's bringing together all the astrologers from the world, and then they are trying to actually like merge it into and understand astrology better.
Yeah, okay. And the book is Hellenistic Astrology.
Hellenistic astrology, and it's very
a study
studious.
of fate and fortune.
And it's a serious
It's a very serious book.
Yeah, but I mean, like for somebody who has interest, it's the Bible, I think, for me. The Bible astrology.
The astrology Bible.
The astrology Bible.
I mean, it's big enough, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But you can see what the chart looks like here as well, right? Like you can see that there's a horizon and there's a circle, and the wheel spins, so you get an image of it. But this is actually pretty serious, Brigita.
It is super serious.
I mean, this looks like a law textbook.
Was
it enjoyable? Was it accessible?
Well, this book is much more accessible than that.
Oh yeah.
But
This is not. This is like. This is when you really want to turn this into your life's work. This is intense. Okay.
Yeah, and this is the
But
beginners.
you've always been.
This is the beginners.
This is the beginner. But you see, this is why they always say, right? Astrology is a science.
Yeah.
All of these other things that
Astrologers
are
study
even,
astrology for 4 or 5 years, like it's a university degree. Yeah.
It's a science, which is probably why I don't do it. It's a little too mathematical for me.
So if you wanna go through if you need to go
yeah,
through
let's
the
go
books,
through.
yeah,
Let's
so
see. Let's see.
I just brought my books that change lives, which is Siddhartha and Love in the Time
Love
of
in the
Color.
Time of Color. I was talking about this week. Amor en el tiempo de cólera.
Yeah.
Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This is one of the
It
best.
sounds much better when you read it.
It's just a sexy language,
Marquez.
isn't it? I love that language. This is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Siddhartha, he was my teacher.
You know,
definitely.
I've never read Siddhartha. I've heard of Siddhartha, but
There you
never
go,
ever
so you can
read
read it.
Well, thank you, darling. I'll bring this back to you
Take this back.
very soon. Gautama. Why do I feel like I read this? I'm gonna read it. Thank you.
Yeah. And then what I'm reading right now, I'm also quite obsessed with dreams.
I know.
So, and
This is
dreams
who I call whenever I have a funny dream.
And then
I have one for you, by the way. Do you have
Okay.
2 minutes? Are you okay with this? Like, just I don't mean to interrupt your book story, but
No.
I had a dream that I had to eat, that I was like in a house, my old house, the cabin, and there was a bowl full of mushrooms, and I had to take 2 of them, 2 different types of mushrooms, and I started tripping, and everything started to look like it was under black light. That happened this morning. I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because now she's like going through the Rolodex.
So I would say that
It's a dream about being high, Brigita. I've never had a mushroom in my life.
I need to process that.
I can't wait. We can talk about this later, like on the socials and stuff. I want to hear what everyone who watches thinks that means, and then I want to hear Brigita's read of it. But anyway, go ahead. The Alchemy of Dreams.
Yeah, The Alchemy of Dreams. This is one of the books I'm reading. I have, I think, an excessive. I am buying everything I can on dreams and that's not a science. These are just opinions. But dreams are messages from the subconscious, right? And especially dreams that you remember. That's like a knock from the subconscious. I have something to say.
Yeah.
This is something that we should
pay attention to.
It's very hard to decipher because I don't believe in symbols like somebody's gonna say, oh, you dreamt of a horse. That means something. Yeah. So it's tied to your personal symbolism.
Yeah.
But if you learn to decipher what a dream means for you, this brings you I really to a next level of consciousness.
But isn't that so about a lot of these things? So for instance, tarot, like we each have, some of us have idiosyncratic relationships with specific cards. So for instance, if I ever see the Justice card, I know I'm going to go through a breakup. Right, and it doesn't. That's not for everyone. But it's like really specific relationships to certain things. And then you're right. It's like you create your own symbology. That's a good one. Is that what this book speaks to? Is like the
and
let's show it.
Speaks. Yeah.
Oh, it's pretty.
Yeah.
The Alchemy of Dreams: Transform Your Life. Develop a Friendship with Your Dreams by Wesley Wyatt. Okay.
This is one of the books that I'm reading, and I'm reading everything that I can put my hands on, like anything
when it comes to dreams.
That is connected to dreams. So but again, you cannot really, you can only have your own research and your own point of view. And I'm also the first book on dreams that I read was Freud's analysis of dreams. So, and I read that when I was like 13, 14.
But you were like into Carl Jung's dream and archetypes as well, right? Yeah.
So this is one of the ways that you can also know thyself.
Yeah.
Like I know that I dreamt a lot when I was younger of like wandering into houses that are not in a really good condition, really always climbing stairs and the stairs are rotten and falling apart.
Wow.
But they are ancient and they're beautiful and I'm looking for a room and it's like it's not a habit. I don't have nightmares, but this is always like a search, and I'm always searching.
You always are. I mean, this has been your thing, right?
Yeah.
For the time I've known
But then,
you.
sometimes I dream of castles that are really that's all that tells you in the state of my mind and state of myself and my.
And we had this conversation, right, about dreams not so long ago. Do you have dreams that come true?
No, I don't.
I do.
You are also a lucid dreamer, so.
Yeah, but I am a lucid dreamer, but I also. I don't really travel, but I do have lucid dreams. But I have had dreams that do come true. And I've also had dreams of parallel experiences with my brother. Like, it's a weird thing. Like, I remember I had a dream, and he has dreams of me. So I had a dream years ago when I was like 16. I was traveling. I was on a school trip or something. And I dreamed that I had rollerbladed. And I've never rollerbladed in my life. I have 2 left feet, right? I woke up the following morning. My brother had been rollerblading the night before. And then I actually went snorkeling one Easter, and I snorkeled over a shark, right? I went over it was like an 8-foot shark, and I almost walked on water, right? Like, this isn't a camera brag. I almost walked on water trying to get in, and I got on the phone immediately. I was like, I called him in Jamaica, and his girlfriend said he was sleeping, and she said she would call him as soon as he got up. Just tell him that I swam over an 8-foot shark. My brother got on the phone to me afterwards, and he was like, before you tell me, but by the way, he had dissed me earlier on that year for believing too much in my dreams. Okay? He told me that, our family does this thing where these things mean anything. You have to follow these gut feelings. So it was a real comeuppance and this was like 2 weeks later. It was 2 weeks later because it was Easter and I traveled to Jamaica right before, and then I was in Brack. And he says to me, he was in Jamaica. He says to me, before you tell me your dream, very, very humble, by the way, at this point, I just want to tell you, he described everything. He said, I was in 30 feet of water. The water was kind of murky. On the ground, it was kind of like that gray clayish type of sand. It had these tufts of grass, and I swam over a shark, and I was being chased by something, and we had been chased by a barracuda. that during the experience. So we have this connection with dreams, and I've also seen things in my dreams that then happen later, and it's actually things that I learned very early to say it out loud, because if not, you will dismiss it as deja vu. Right? So it's a funny thing, but okay, so we just went on a real segue. The Alchemy of Dreams. What's the next one? Because that one looks, this is one of your life-changing books.
This is one that I hope is gonna change change my life. It's about this is Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl, he's an Austrian psychiatrist who survived the Second World War and the concentration camps, and then he continued working after the war, and there's a very interesting sentence that actually I think it's important, says when we are no longer able to change the situation, we change ourselves. So I think he started.
Why does that sound so bad?
No. I think it's the.
No, I hear you.
He started
giving in.
Existential psychology.
Fair enough, but where's my Mars?
Let's not go there.
My Mars. My Scorpion Mars. I'm joking, but yeah.
That's okay.
So he's saying when you cannot change a situation, you start to change yourself.
Yeah.
That can mean adapting. That can mean growing, transforming.
Yeah.
But it can also mean
personal alchemy.
I instantly feel like it's giving in.
Yeah.
Which will tell you how I see failure. But yeah.
But
that's a very long conversation for us to have.
There is no failure because there is only modifying.
And this is why I keep you around.
Modifying your goals.
So you can keep me straight and keep me out of the existential depression. that is a crazy mind.
But lots of people have existential depression.
Of course. And you know that
they say that lots of them that are not gonna admit it, but I mean, like,
a lot of people do. And they say that gifted children actually have. One of the ways to spot a giftedness in a child is to look for existential depression. You know, what is the purpose of life? You're 6 years old. It's 2:00 in the morning. Go to sleep. You know, like that was our experience with like finding out that family members were gifted.
Yeah, and so I think that less we are in that survival modes, more we get into existential crisis.
Oh.
It's almost like that's why
so funny, because Esther Perel is one of my favorite writers, right? She's a psychologist, and she wrote the book Mating in Captivity. And she's such a profound thinker. I have so much time for her. She was on Trevor Noah's podcast a couple of weeks ago at the time of filming, and she was talking about friction, and in the absence of friction comes depression. In the absence of friction, you take things for granted. So if you have to wash your clothes by hand, you appreciate the cleanliness of your life, of your, you know, it's like talking about, and of course, Trevor Noah keeps talking about community, right? He has this whole thing about we are now living in the West where we have now commoditized everything, right? And now we have to buy back community. We've lost community. So we have to hire the person to take care of our kids, which that used to be your auntie. You know, you have to call an Uber to take you to the airport. That used to be your brother. That used to be the village. That used to be the community. But I don't know where I was going with this, and we just went down into
the depression that comes from not being in the survival mode.
Yeah.
But that's your response to what? Because depression, like some of the therapists would say, depression means depressed. Like your mind is just switched off because like you are not on the right path.
But there has to be
like
space for thriving.
When you are in depression, basically, it's like your higher self is telling you that you're not on the right path, and there is like maybe you should, you know.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be existential depression or survival mode. I feel like there's a third way to be. But you and I, we talk about this. But you and I have differences of view on this. But there has to be a space for thriving, because you know the modulation of life, right? There has to be a peak. I feel like depression might be the depression might be the valley, and then the other thing, what's it? Survival is somewhere in between, right? Whereas a peak does exist. The peak has to exist.
But depends what's like. I mean,
how high does it go? Yeah, fair enough.
Depends what you see as a point of being. You know, what is the point of being? And what is the peak? That determines the peak.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I read an article years ago, and this is when I realized that actually I might have been a gifted child. Don't get me wrong. There was a whole like IQ's testing that was done in Cayman at the time, which suggested that we would be gifted children. But now giftedness has been expanded, right? So this article that I found on gifted children spoke to gifted children and existential depression. Mm-hmm. It spoke to parents on how to support your child as they experience existential depression. They're going to be asking you questions that you cannot answer. Like, what is the purpose of life? Why are we here? Etc. Right? And the instruction that was given to the parents of children that were experiencing existential depression was physical touch, lots of activity, give them pets. So active, touch, grounding in the world, right? Come out of your head, get into your body, right? And get out into the sports teams and make friends and go like the sensual. You have to connect them to the sensual, or they will, or it's just a spiral from there, right? But you know what? You and I will figure out the meaning of life one day, my darling. Thank you very much for these books. It has been a pleasure to have you. And I would love for you to come back on at some point in time and we talk tarot.
Okay.
Right? And maybe a few of us at that point. There are a couple of us that could get together on that conversation. That might be a challenge for...
We read for each other.
Oh, really? Oh, that would be funny. Oh my goodness, that would be too much. There's a really good book I would like to actually recommend for us to talk about. And I'll share it kind of more widely as well. And it's on tarot. And it's called, I think it's called Kabbalistic Tarot. It's tarot and the Kabbalah. And there is a theory, because no one knows where tarot came from. You know, that no one knows the origin of tarot, but the earliest mention of tarot or any form of card used for divination or anything like that was a gift given to the pharaohs by the Hebrew people. So they took that mention and that understanding and created this theory that actually tarot is Jewish. And it could be, and we don't know.
It could be.
But that'll be a fun one to talk about and to kind of pick apart, because I know you know far more about tarot than I do.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think you read more about it. I just read it. I don't. But thank you very much for being with us on Books and Bush Tea. I'm so grateful for you. I'm glad that you're here and that you're sharing your wisdom in all sorts of different ways.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you next time.